Computer Programming for Kids, Step 11. Genericize the app. Fun with multiple choice questions. We have built our first app together, Guessing Ages. That's a big accomplishment, really, and indeed it is. In fact, it's a lot more significant than the first app most programming lessons have you build, which simply shows the message, "Hello World," to the user. Yes, the proverbial and ubiquitous Hello World app is de rigueur in programming courses. Now, I'm not forgetting that this journey is for kids. Some may think that the vocabulary I'm using is too big for young ones, such as ubiquitous and de rigueur, etc., but it's not. That doesn't mean you necessarily know all the words right now. So, why do I say the vocabulary I'm using is not too advanced for you, if you may not know all the words? Because there is such a thing called a dictionary. They are readily available. There are printed ones that weigh a few tons, and there are online ones which are just a browser away, such as dictionary.com. Use them when necessary. It's good to expand your vocabulary because it exercises your brain. You can't think thoughts that you don't have words for. Don't sell yourself short, and don't let others sell you short either. Just because you're probably literally short doesn't mean you can't develop an advanced vocabulary. I'm assuming you're relatively short because I'm assuming you're a kid. And most kids aren't really tall, like Giannis, I don't know how to pronounce his name. They call him the Greek Freak, the basketball player. At least you're not that tall yet. And then a photo of the basketball player is shown where it's obvious that he's quite tall. In the picture above, you see 6', 11-inch basketball player extraordinaire, Giannis, again, I'm not sure how his last name is pronounced, Antetokounmpo, something like that, listening to some recorded programming lessons. Maybe. Who knows? Anyway, back to ground zero. Hello World is the standard first runnable code students write, normally. But I'm not one to perpetuate tradition just for the sake of doing so. Out with the old and in with the new, I say. Even changing it to Hallo Welt, German, or Hola Mundo, Spanish, seems rather tame. So pat yourself on the back. You made, even if just in your head by following along with the process, an app that actually does something, asks the user a set of questions, stores the results of their answers, and displays those results to the user. Now, let's make it better. One of the core or key principles of good programming practice is to design your apps for flexibility, to make them generic in a sense. Or you might hear it referred to as designing for reuse. In other words, the app we built is a one-trick pony. As the questions and candidate answers are built into the code or hard-coded, it is not easy to reuse it for something else. We can only go through those particular 10 questions a couple of times before we start to get bored with them, right? So, let's refactor our app so that it can be used with any set of questions. Which type of question? That's up to you. Remember, programming can be a creative endeavor, so use your imagination and what interests you to come up with a series of questions and candidate answers. For these steps, of course, I will show you what I come up with, but you will be able to incorporate your own lists of questions and answers after seeing how it is done. This is what we will learn in the next few steps as we refactor our app to be able to accommodate any list of questions and answers that we create for it. How to create a CSV list, how to read a file programmatically, how to create a class to represent the file contents, how to write the text from the class instances to our GUI. After learning these 4 things, you will be able to create and load and run your own tests or multiple choice questions/answers. The sky and beyond is the limit. But whoa, wait a minute, you might be saying, what the tarnation is CSV? Isn't that a chain pharmacy? Or GUI? Is that what my shoes get after dropping melted marshmallows on them? No, when it comes to the world of programming, CSV means comma separated values, and GUI or GUI means graphical user interface. Those are just fancy phrases for, in the first case, a file which contains lines formatted like this. And then a couple of lines are shown that read this way: which comics company prints Spider-Man? Then a comma, Archie, comma, DC, comma, Marvel. Next line, who recorded the song May the Bird of Paradise Fly Up Your Nose? Comma, Charles Dickens, comma, Little Jimmy Dickens, comma, Little Richard. These are 2 lines from a CSV, comma, separated values file. The first item in each line is the question, followed by a comma, then the 3 candidate answers, each followed by a comma, except the last one on the line. We are going to take the first line and present it something like the following. Which comics company prints Spider-Man? Is on one line bolded. A couple lines later, you've got star or asterisk, Archie. Another line, star, DC. Another line, star, Marvel. And that represents the radio buttons. Those stars, that is, represent the radio buttons, offering the user the choice to pick one of those 3 options, one of which is correct. You probably know which one is correct. And I do too. I've been reading Marvel since I started reading Marvel in the 1960s. I can't say I read it much anymore. The user will select the answer they think is correct. As for GUI or GUI, graphical user interface, that is simply a fancy phrase for what the user of the app sees, what's on the form in our case. In the next step, number 12, we will tackle the first item on our refactoring list, how to create a CSV list.